Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and welcome to Power Yoga. This class we're going to focus on half moon pose. This is a great posture if you want to work on balance, some hip openers, and some hamstring stretches. Now we're going to particularly focus on the hip opening component of this class. And so I'll be breaking down this pose, particularly focusing on hip openers so we can effectively move into this balancing posture of half moon. So the only props we'll need today are really just a couple of yoga blocks. So if you don't have yoga blocks, maybe a couple of books, hardbound books that you can stack. It's really just a way of bringing the floor a little bit closer to you. So I've got a couple of yoga blocks here. I'll just set those to the side. Alrighty, let's go ahead and begin. We'll start in mountain pose. And we're going to be standing pretty purposely here by standing with the feet about hip distance apart with your toes pointing directly forward. This is to ensure a nice alignment from our hips right down to our feet. And this too is really the beginning of our setup for our half moon pose. You can just let your arms rest down by your side. You can have your palms facing forward. And we'll take a few deep breaths. So a nice full inhale, filling up your lungs. Followed by an exhale. You can breathe out through your mouth with a soft sigh. A nice full breath in and exhale. Good. And just continue here with slow, steady breaths as we begin our practice together. This is to ensure that we're ready for our practice today. Really just setting the stage, moving into ourselves, focusing on ourselves, letting go of the things that are going on outside of us. Breathe slowly with intention so that you can hear your breath and experience the feeling of the breath as it moves through your body. Good. And just continue here. You might take a soft gaze forward or even down at the floor if you'd like. You can also close your eyes. Think of this as a silent meditation. Just continuing to prepare our minds and our bodies for our moving practice today. Good. As you inhale, just feel the breath rising upward to fill your lungs. Nice expansive breath. And as you exhale, just draw your navel inward towards your spine. We're engaging the abdominal lock. Good. This is really going to help us with our balancing component of our pose. As we inhale, again, just feel the breath rising, filling up your lungs. Exhale completely. Draw your navel inward towards your spine. And just continue with these sensations, just growing a deeper connection to self. Very good. Let's take 3 more breaths here as we now prepare our bodies to move. And now beginning at the top of the mat, go ahead and inhale and extend your arms overhead. Treat it like a nice stretch. Reach all the way up. And exhale, we'll fold forward. So a good hinge from your hips. Bend your knees as much as you need to as you guide your way down towards your toes. Then inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees and extend your spine, creating a long, flat back. Then exhale, fold again back down towards your toes. Now it's okay if you can't touch your toes right here, and you don't need to touch your toes here. Just want to be in a place where you can start to feel this stretch sensation down through the backs of your legs, particularly in your hamstrings and even your lower glutes. And if you don't want to come all the way down touching your toes, you can always rest your hands on your shins, knees, or thighs, or bring in your yoga blocks or books here as a way to steady yourself here. And we'll be using the blocks and books in the same fashion or a similar fashion later on in the practice. So just hold here for a few more breaths, allowing that lengthening process to continue in the backs of your legs. Breathing deeply. Let's get ready to stand back up. So go ahead and shift your weight back into your heels, bend your knees and lower your hips like you're sitting down into a low chair. lifting the chest a little bit. You can extend your arms out to the side. This should ensure that your back is still long and flat. Now drive your heels into the floor to help you stand using the strength of your legs, getting tall, reaching into the air, and inhale, reaching for the ceiling. Then exhale, you can bring your arms down to your side, or you can bring your palms together down to your heart. Either one's correct. Let's just hold for a moment. Take a breath. Let's do that half salute to the sun once again. Here we go. Inhale, reaching into the air. Exhale, swan dive forward. A good hinge from your hips. Bend your knees. Make your way down towards your toes or just partially down. Inhale, rise up halfway. Slide your hands up the legs. And then rise up halfway. Exhale, fold. Same weight, shift into your heels. Bend your knees. Lower your hips. Lift the chest. Spread your wings. Then inhale and float all the way back up. Reaching into the sky. And the exhale, bring your hands down to your heart or arms down to your side. Hold here for a moment, taking a breath or two. Now that we've introduced movement to the body, accompanying with breath, we're ready to move through our sun salutation. Let's go ahead and continue here. Here we are. Inhale, extend your arms all the way up. Feel the lengthening through the sides of your body. Exhale, swan dive forward, hinging at the hips, soft knees, guide your way down. Inhale, rise up halfway. Feel the top of your head lead you forward. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees enough to place your hands on your mat. Walk or step both feet back to the back end of your mat. Draw a straight line through your body so you are in this high push-up position. We'll take a breath in. Exhale, bend your knees a little. Send your hips into the air. You'll be moving into downward facing dog. Feel free to adjust your feet, even adjust your hands as you need to on your mat. Keep the knees well bent as the hips lift up into the air. Meanwhile, your hands are pressing firmly into the mat, strong straight arms. This lengthens the torso, long down through the sides of your body, strong arms. Feel free to pedal your feet here like you're walking or even pedaling a bicycle. Pressing one heel down as the other heel lifts, and then alternate. Here we're starting to get a stretch through the lower portion of the legs into our calves. Feel how your knees bend and your hips might even shift side to side. Now do one more on both sides. Then we'll hold in stillness. Take a full breath in, looking at the top of the mat. Exhale, walk, step, or hop both feet to the top of the mat. You'll be in forward fold. Inhale, rise up halfway. Exhale, refold. Weight shift into your heels, bend your knees. Inhale, reverse your swan dive and grow tall, reaching into the air. This exhale, take chair pose as we continue to flow through our postures. Continuing with our sun salute, breathing in. Exhale, dive out of your seat, back down towards your toes, forward fold. Remember, you can move at your own pace. Inhale, rise up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees enough to plant your hands into the mat. Hop or step both feet back, plank pose, arriving once again at this high push-up position. You can take that same shortcut to downward facing dog like we did the first time, or with your exhale, bend your elbows, squeeze them in towards your ribs, lower your body down to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, pressing hands into the floor to lift your chest, opening your heart, creating a back bend we know as upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck your toes under, lift your knees and hips, downward facing dog. Again, just adjust your hands, adjust your feet on your mat. Let's add a lunge here. We're picking up the right foot, extend the right leg straight back. Then exhale, step right foot to the top of the mat, land your right hand, turn left heel to the floor and shift your body weight back into that foot so you feel well grounded back here. Then inhale, rise up, reaching into the air, facing forward for warrior one. Exhale, hinge and fold. Make your way back down to the earth. Plant your hands strongly. Slide your right foot back to meet the other. Finish your sequence here. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Stepping into place. And we're ready for the other side. Inhale, let's pick up the left foot. Extend the left leg straight back. Energetically reaching back. Exhale, step through. Left foot to the top of the mat. Right heel turns to the floor, shifting weight back into that foot. You want to feel your hands become light on the mat so you can easily hinge from hips. Rise up, reach into the air. Exhale, hinge and fold. Bring your hands back down to the floor. Let's slide the left foot back to meet the other, and then just finish your sequence coming down. Inhale, up dog. This also can be a low cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll take a moment here, taking a few breaths. Then we're going to do a little bit of floor work. So go ahead and bend your knees, kneel down actually. Sit back briefly into hero, and then off to the side. So you can swing your legs around to the front. You might need to scoot forward so you're sitting in the center of your mat so you have room behind you. Go ahead and roll down onto your back and just bring your knees into chest. All right, feel free to add some movement here. A little rocking sensations might feel nice. We'll do a little check-in with our feet. So you're going to circle your ankles, circle them in both directions. You can flex your feet or point your toes, wiggle your toes if you can, and even check in with your hands. Circle the wrists, wiggle your fingers. Get some movement there. Alrighty, now lightly flex your feet, holding onto your knees or shins. Gently take the legs wide, opening up. And so here, we're getting a stretch through the inner legs. Now I talked about opening up our hips to really help us prepare for half moon pose. So this is one of our first postures in doing that. Just stretching our inner legs, because a lot of us don't have very flexible inner thighs. And half moon kind of requires some flexibility as well as strength in our inner legs. All right, let's bring the knees together. Set the feet onto the floor. They can even be wider than the hips here as we prepare for bridge pose. Now take a nice full breath in, fill up your lungs. You can exhale through the mouth, engaging your core center, and then lift the hips into the air. I like to get my arms and shoulders underneath. And as you keep pressing into the floor with your feet, lifting the hips, and just feeling this engagement as well as the opening through the whole front side of your body. Notice the sensations, starting with the upper body. Chest expanding and opening. Take deep breaths here, even breathing right up into the collarbones. Okay, opening up through the stomach area, right to the belt line. Notice what's happening just below the belt line. Hip flexors, opening, stretching, thigh engagement, and even underneath the body. The more you press into the floor, you're going to feel some dynamics in your glutes and your hamstrings. Let's take a few more breaths here. And then when we're ready to come out, go ahead and wiggle your toes forward slightly. Send your arms straight up into the air, just making space in the back body so we can safely and slowly go return to the ground. Once you've made your soft landing, extend your legs out front and extend your arms behind you for a nice stretch. And a couple of deep breaths here. Then when you're ready, draw both knees into chest. We'll rock our way up to a seated position and prepare for boat pose. Let's do this. Let's sit with the heels on the floor, feet flexed, with the knees bent here, holding on to underneath the knees, just like this. So you can inhale and just sit up as tall as you can, just like this. And the exhale, start to lean back, maintaining that lengthened spine. Now the feet can stay on the floor for the duration of this pose, or if you slowly lean back and even walk the heels towards yourself a little bit, you'll find that sweet spot where you'll balance and the feet will lift into the air. There we go. You can continue holding on to the legs. You can even free up the hands if you'd like. And the shins here, I've got my shins about parallel to the floor. You can even extend the legs if you want, just to make this a little bit more dynamic. From here, let's breathe in. Exhale as you're able, cross legs, hands in front, or even to the side here so you can get the feet back behind you into plank pose. And then just take a shortcut from here to downward facing dog. Just soften the knees, lift your hips into the sky. Let's add on. Inhale, extend the right leg up. And exhale, right foot to the top of the mat, landing. Left heel to the floor behind you. Again, place some good weight back there. Long torso as we now inhale, rise up. First warrior. Exhale, turn your torso towards the left side of the room as we open up to a warrior two. Bringing the arms down to parallel. Make some adjustments with your feet so you feel pretty solid in your pose. Let's check in with the arms. Just be sure they're parallel to the floor and we're really reaching across the room. Let's hold this posture, but go ahead and relax your arms for a moment. Let's pay attention to the legs and hips. Now this back leg, your left foot, the outside edge of your foot, you want to feel like it's kind of rolling into the earth. It might even energize this outer leg. Now the front right knee, make sure it's bent and the knee and toes are pointing directly forward. The idea here is to start this lengthening in the inner leg. So just as we did that pose on the floor to get that inner leg stretch, we're doing the same thing here. It happens in Warrior Two. Or let's re-extend the arms. Let's move into a side angle pose. So reaching forward, angled upper body, rotate the arms, reaching down with the right hand, left hand reaching up. And I'm staying up high on purpose because we really want to feel this opening effect through the body. Even feel as if this left shoulder is reaching for something behind you. Imagine that your head, the back of your head, and your back body is actually pressing into a wall behind you. Meanwhile, this right arm is on the inner leg, making sure this right leg feels like it's moving towards the wall on the right side. Inhale here. Exhale, carefully turn. We'll fold. Bring the hands to the floor. Step back into plank pose. Hold here for a moment. And we'll take another shortcut to downward facing dog. This is that same thing on the other side. So inhale, pick up your left foot, extend the left leg straight back. Exhale, left foot to the top of the mat. We're landing up top there. Right heel to the floor, shifting your weight back so there's balance on 2 feet. Lifting, inhale, rise up, reaching into the air, facing forward. Exhale, turn your torso towards the right side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Again, we'll adjust the feet so you feel solid and well balanced in your pose. And we'll extend the arms so they're parallel to the floor. Right here. Couple of breaths. And then go ahead and rest the arms and we'll check in with the legs, feet, and hips. So that again, the right leg, this back leg, the outside edge of the foot, feels like it's kind of rolling down into the earth. Strong back leg. Left knee and toes pointing directly forward. We're lunging here. And you want to feel an energy of your outer left thigh and knee moving to the left side of the room. So we get that lengthening and stretch quality in the inner left leg. Let's return to Warrior Two arms, and then side angle. Reach forward to angle the upper half of the body. Rotate the arms, reaching high and low. That same effect. Feel like you're reaching back with your right shoulder, touching an imaginary wall. Same with the back of your head and your upper back. This left arm braced on inner leg, just so your leg doesn't dip to the inside. We're just gently nudging it to the left side of the room. You want to feel quite open in the front body. Let's breathe in. Exhale, carefully turn. We'll fold, bring hands to the floor, back to our plank pose, and you can finish your sequence here. Also feel free to take another shortcut to downward facing dog. Holding here. Let's take another moment to come back to the earth here. So kneel down, sit back briefly in hero, off to the side, and swing the legs around to the front. Let's start with straight legs here. Let's come to staff pose. So straight legs, as straight as can be, even if there's a slight bend in the knees, that's fine. Do flex the feet, hands on the floor by your hips. This should help you sit up nice and tall. So just press into the floor to help you extend and lengthen through your torso. Even roll your shoulders back. Just a couple of breaths in staff pose. Long spine, engaged core, straight-ish legs. After a few breaths, we'll soften a little bit and we'll bend the knees and bring the soles of the feet together, coming to bound angle pose. If you're able, go ahead and scoop up your toes here and then sit up as tall as you can. Now you just kind of have this natural opening of the legs. There might be some space underneath the legs, that's fine. Really in this case, just allow gravity to kind of pull and open the legs. And it won't be too forced, and that's the idea, but you want to feel that opening sensation to help increase that stretch and lengthening process that's happening in the inner legs. Here's another little piece you can add on. So you can inhale, get nice and tall. Exhale, hinge forward slightly, leading with the heart and chin, maybe about this far, maintaining a lengthened spine as best as you can. And we'll hold here. Now for me, I do feel kind of some energy in the inner legs, so they're working. Now, if this feels like it's too much of an opening, you can use your blocks or even a couple of pillows or books or rolled up towels to add a little support, so you can put a block underneath the knees. Okay, we're gonna rise back up, lengthen spine, keep leaning back. As you lean back, bring the knees together. We're gonna return to boat pose. So heels out front, lean back, lift the feet if you'd like. Nice lengthened spine, couple of breaths. Inhale, fill up your lungs. Exhale through the mouth if you'd like, to help you engage your core center. You'll feel the air leave your body, so you can feel the core muscles engage. Here we go, breathe in, exhale, cross legs, hands way out front here, hop or step back, plank pose. Go ahead and take a shortcut to down dog. Just bend the knees, send your hips into the air. Take a breath in, exhale, walk, step, or even hop both feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, fold. Weight shift into your heels, bend your knees. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Come back up to standing, reaching high into the sky. Exhale, arms down to your side. Very nice. All righty. Let's just continue to check in. Notice how you're feeling. Maybe roll your shoulders a little bit. All right, we're going to be moving into balance. So tree pose is a great balancing posture. Again, we're continuing to set ourselves up for half moon. So this is what we'll do. Now, just as we did at the beginning of the practice, we stood in mountain pose. Kind of strict here, just so that you're very aware. So feet about hip distance apart, toes pointing forward. You're gonna feel something perhaps in your hips, because we normally don't stand like this, right? You might even stand a little bit more with feet turned out, with the feet a little wider. So this might feel a little different, but we're doing this on purpose. All right, balance. Let's start by softening the knees. Shift your weight over into your right foot, root into the floor. Inhale, get nice and tall upper body. Exhale, pull belly button in, engaging your core. Picking up the left foot, maybe flexing the foot to keep it energized. And let's just see and feel how this leg kind of swings out until it just naturally stops. Mine is kind of out at an angle. That's fine. Placing foot on the inside of the standing leg. You want to ensure your hips are square and still pointing and facing directly forward. Now, inhale to lift your arms up, but keep reaching up. Exhaling to engage your core to help you with balance. Let's hold here for a moment. We're going to stay in the balance, but bring your arms back down, maybe down to your hips. Paying attention to the angle of this knee. Again, it might be pointing out at an angle, but if you're able, maybe it can swing open so it's pointing directly to the side of the room. That's going to indicate how much flexibility you probably have in your inner left leg here. Okay, and don't worry if it doesn't point to the side of the room. If it's at an angle, that's fine. We can work with that. Okay, let's swing this knee forward, lifting your knee with the flexed foot. Plant the foot into the ground, balanced on 2 feet, and even walk this out. Let's just give that right foot a little bit of relief. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So again, coming back to our strict standing position, mountain pose, toes forward, feet hip distance apart. Soften the knees here, shift weight now into the left foot, root into the floor. Let's get tall. Inhale, lengthen spine. Exhale, core connection. Let's lift the right foot, flex the foot for nice energy in the leg. Swing the knee out until it just naturally stops so your hips are still facing forward. Again, mine is out at an angle. Placing foot on the inner leg. Then inhale, extend both arms up into the sky. Keep reaching up. Exhale, engage the abdominal lock. Let's hold here for several breaths. This is our balance work, so you are focusing forward, or even dart your eyes downward to look at the floor. Perfect to help you balance. Holding for a moment. Now we're going to maintain our balance, but bring the arms down, maybe down to hips. Again, check in with where your right knee is pointing. It might be at an angle, or maybe it swings open all the way so it's pointing directly to the side of the room. Now we're checking in with this inner thigh, alrighty, and how flexible it is. If you feel like you're forcing it, or if you feel like you're turning, alrighty, then that's an indication of that flexibility. So again, hips square, no worries if your knee is out at an angle. Let's swing the knee forward now. If you're closing a gate, place the foot on the floor, walk that out. Wonderful. All right, keep those things in mind. We're still setting ourselves up for half moon because a similar thing is going to be happening. Let's get back to our flow. All right, mountain pose at the top of the mat. Inhale, extend your arms straight up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, fold and bend, hands to the floor. Hop or step back, plank pose, come down if you'd like. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, extend the right leg into the air. Let's open the hip here. Bend your right knee, bring heel down towards backside. A little lift of the knee. So we're getting a hip opener. We're going to unwind and step through with an exhale. Right foot to the top, left heel to the floor behind you. Find that centering, good balance. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. Exhale, opening to warrior two. Just as before, let's check in. All right, adjusting the feet so you feel balanced. Tall torso, outstretched arms. Right knee and toes pointing directly forward. Side angle, let's reach out, rotate the arms here, opening up. Be aware if you feel like you're falling to the earth. You want to feel like you're rising towards the sky. Inhale. Exhale, turn, fold, hands to the floor. Listen carefully. Slide your right foot back, but then up into the air. Return to downward facing dog. The right leg is straight and up in the air. Inhale here. Exhale, return right foot to the top of the mat. Stay here for a runner's lunge. So left heel is lifted. All 10 toes are pointing forward. Feel your body weight shift back to find balance. Right now you might be on your fingertips. Bring in your books or blocks. I'm going to turn mine up high like this. Press into the blocks so I can lift and lengthen through the torso. It's like you're about to start a race. I really feel this in the front leg, and you really want to feel this here. So a lot of energy, lots of focus and sensation in this front leg. Now, shifting the weight back so you can move your blocks out of the way, so you can easily lift the hands, lift your torso so you're rising up. This is high lunge. We're reaching high, lunging low. Now that change in sensation, or there might be a shift here where you're going to feel a little bit more in this left leg, right here in the hip flexor. You're still going to feel the right leg, but a little bit more sensation now in the left. Alrighty, follow me. We're rising up, straightening the legs. Lift up, straighten the legs, pivot left heel to the floor, turn sideways, bring your arms down to parallel. We're prepped for triangle pose. So we're reaching out over the right leg. Rotate the arms here, reaching high and low. Good, so some good lengthening through the right leg here. So more stretching through the hamstrings. And again, you want to feel like you're opening up towards the sky rather than maybe falling towards the earth. All right, coming out of the pose, let's bend the right knee, nice lunge, coming back up through warrior two and reverse your warrior, reaching right hand up into the air so we get a nice stretch through the right side of the body. Wonderful. All right, big windmill all the way around and down to the floor in front. We're stepping back into plank pose. You can take a shortcut to downward facing dog or finish the full vinyasa. Let's do the other side, same sequence. Inhale, extend left leg into the air. Bend the knee, lifting the knee a little bit, a little twist, little opening through the left hip. We're going to unwind it and step through. Left foot to the top of the mat, right heel turns to the floor behind you, shifting the body weight back so there's balance. Light hand so you can rise up, warrior one. Exhale, opening to your warrior two. Settle in. Ready for our side angle, reaching out. Rotate the arms, reaching down, reaching up. Good breathing here. Inhale, ready to go. Exhale, turn, fold, hands to the floor. All right, we're going to slide the left foot back and up into the air. Straight line. Stay here. Inhale again. Exhale, left foot to the top of the mat, ready for our runner's lunge. Right heel stays lifted, all 10 toes are pointing forward. Here you might sense that your back feels rounded. That's why we want to bring in the blocks so you can rise up to help extend the torso. Feel as if you're about to take off here. Good breathing. Strength and stability in this front leg. You might feel this in your hip. Good strength building here as we hold the pose, being supported by the blocks. I'm shifting the weight back a little bit so I can remove my hands from the blocks, reach forward and rise up to a high lunge. Again, all 10 toes are pointing forward. My hips are square facing forward. We're reaching up, lunging deeply, feeling that stretch now through the right side, hip flexor area. Let's get ready for triangle pose. We need to straighten the legs. So just lifting, lengthening through the legs. Pivot, right heel to the floor, turn sideways, arms come down to parallel. Be sure the legs are straight. And then reach out over that front straight leg, tip it over. Here's triangle pose, reaching high and low. My left hand is just lightly landing on my knee. Again, not needing to go down too low, just enough where I can just feel and experience the left hip hamstrings getting some stretching. Some deep breaths here, nice openings. Now, essentially, we actually are getting very, very close to being in half moon. Now, imagine we were actually balancing on this left foot and opened up just like this. We'd be in half moon. We're almost there. Let's bend the left knee, nice lunge. Come back up, pass through warrior two. Reverse your warrior, left hand reaching into the sky. Good lengthening and opening through the left side body. And here comes a big windmill all the way around and down to the floor in front. Step back into plank pose. Finish the full sequence. Or go through a shortcut to get you to downward facing dog. Let's do one more thing here on the floor. Bring the knees to the floor. Let's sit back. Here's hero. Sit off to the side. Swing the legs around to the front. Sit in the center of your mat. Roll down onto your back and bring the knees with you. Feel free to add a little movement here. All right, as earlier, we're going to flex the feet lightly, holding onto the shins and knees, and just take the legs wide. Okay? Without too much force, you're just opening the legs. Just briefly here, we've got two more things to occur here. We're moving into reclining bound angle pose. First version, you're bringing the soles of the feet together. Just hold on to your feet. Now this may seem familiar because we did this seated. Now we're just doing it lying down. Here, with a little bit of effort, send your heels down towards your pelvis while your legs feel like they're pushing forward gently to the front corners of your mat. Take some deep breaths. We're going to do a second version of this pose. Here we go. Keep the feet pressed together, but set the feet onto the floor. Knees will be open, but now gravity will pull them down, providing a little bit more of a stretch in the inner legs. This is going to be a little bit more forced. So notice the sensation. Now the legs might touch the floor, mine almost touch the floor here. But if they're up, that's okay. This is just an indicator of how much flexibility you may have at the moment in the inner legs. And it also may mimic what we did standing in our tree pose and how much the knees pointed to the sides of the room. These are indicators for half moon. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to effectively be in that balancing posture. Let's bring the knees back together. Lift the knees, hug them in. And then rock your way up to seated. Returning to boat pose. Nice lengthened spine, maybe leaning back to lift the feet. Really just for a transition, we're going to inhale here. Exhale, cross legs, hands in front, hop or step back, plank pose. Strong straight line. Let's just take a shortcut to down dog. Soft knees, hips into the sky. Take a nice full breath in. Exhale, walk, step, or hop both feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, extend through the torso. Exhale, fold. Feel the stretch in the hamstrings. Let your back stretch. Weight shift into your heels. Bend your knees. Inhale, reverse your swan dive. Grow tall. Reach high into the sky. Exhale, arms down to your side. Alrighty, now I think we're ready to attempt our half moon pose. And like I said, I've got some tips and tricks on how to get into this posture effectively. Because we are balancing on one foot. We want one leg, that standing leg, to be pretty well extended. Okay, so it is a hamstring stretch and a hip opener at the same time, while the back leg is lifting into the air. Let's just do it. Let's use our props. So grab your books or blocks. I'm going to place mine here at the top of the mat. I'm even going to turn one of my blocks up like that. Again, I want to bring the floor up a little closer to me. If you don't have stackable books or blocks, you can even bring in a chair and use the seat of a chair. That will help. Okay? Now I'm going to be doing the pose standing this way, but let me just show you this way for a moment. Because we're going to be standing initially with the feet hip distance apart. That's how we began our practice in mountain pose. And that's how they pretty much remain as we then get into the balance. Alrighty? But I'm going to show you something that will help. Okay? Now toes are forward, nice and tall, mountain pose. Just follow me. Inhale, extend the arms all the way up. Exhale, fold forward, all the way down, maybe towards toes. Inhale, rise up halfway. Now as we exhale, just use your right hand and just catch yourself on your stacked blocks or books or the seat of a chair. Now here, I'm just softening the knees, but I'm going to put weight into my right foot. Now at this time, my right toes are still pointing directly forward. Now you can stay just like this for a moment and watch me, because I want you to see what happens here. I'm leaning into this block, relying on the block as I tiptoe this left foot back. So because I'm going to lift this left foot into the air, flexing the foot so the leg is energized, okay, right here. This is part of the balance, perfectly fine if this knee is bent. Keeping this foot flexed, and I'm going to open my body, so my left arm opening to the side of the room. Now, if you have very flexible inner legs, in this case your right leg, you might be able to open up all the way. Very much like Warrior 2 or Triangle Pose or Side Angle, where I had you imagine you were leaning into a wall. This takes a lot of balance and hip opening. That's with my toes pointing forward. Now my right inner leg is pretty flexible. Here comes the tip and trick. Okay, you can do this with me. Now if you can do that with the toes pointing forward, go ahead and do that. Or if you can take a look down at my foot, I'm going to turn my right foot in, and it's pointing to the left corner of my mat here. So I turned it a little bit too far. So just turn it in just a little bit, because you're doing an inner rotation of the leg, so you don't have to open up as much. It mimics the tree pose where your knee didn't point directly to the side of the room, but more at an angle. I'm leaning into the block, lifting the left leg, flexing the foot, spreading my wings, opening up. This might feel a little easier because you have a little bit more space to work with because you've turned the right foot and leg inward, an inner rotation. So see if this works for you. And don't worry if you do fall out of the pose due to a loss of balance. That's okay. Keep reaching dynamically into the air with your left hand, flex the left foot, that energizes the leg, and even look down at the floor to help you with balance. Let's finish. I'm just going to close it all up, bring it down, come down to a forward fold. Shifting weight into the heels, bend the knees, inhale, reverse swan dive, coming up, reaching into the sky. Exhale, arms down to your side. Now, hopefully that worked out for you. We're going to do the other side, same thing. Now, your legs might be different. Maybe one leg is a little bit more flexible than the other, and you might not need to turn the foot inward. Let's try it. I'm just going to move my blocks over here. I'm just going to do the other side so you get a good perspective, like so. So we are starting with the toes pointing directly forward. Inhale, take both arms up. Exhale, swan dive. Down towards toes. Inhale, rise up halfway. The exhale, I'm just going to land on the blocks with the left hand. I'm relying on the blocks. I'm kind of leaning into the blocks. Alrighty, now the toes can remain pointing directly forward. I'm going to turn my left foot in, that's my standing foot, just in slightly. Leaning into the blocks, I can tiptoe the right foot back. So it just floats into the air. Flex the foot as it lifts. Take your right arm out, opening up, and maybe you only open up this far, and that's fine. If you're able, because maybe you turn the left foot in, you have a little bit more space, you can open up a little bit more. I know this really helps me. So if you're working on tight inner thighs and you want to get into this pose, just try this little trick, turning the toes in. Energize this lifted leg and arm. Focus on the floor, and that will help. Inhale. Exhale, let's carefully return down to the earth. Forward fold, nice melting sensation. Let's just do monkey pose, lifting halfway. Exhale, fold, bend, hands on the floor out in front. Hop or step back, plank pose. Let's just complete the vinyasa. There's chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Couple breaths here. So that completes the dynamic practice of our half moon. Let's move to our closing sequence. Just go ahead and kneel down. Sit back briefly in hero. And go ahead and take a seat. Sitting in the center of your mat. Go ahead and roll down onto your back. Hug your knees into chest. You can add some movement here. Relieve your feet and ankles, even your hands here. Go ahead and set the left foot down and extend the left leg. Keep hold of the right knee. Just hug it in gently, moving right towards chest and then a little bit out towards your shoulder. Okay, so outside a little bit towards shoulder. Flex the right foot, kick it up into the air. We're going to half happy baby pose. You might hold on to the sole of the foot if you can reach. If not, just hold on to your ankle, or you can see I'm holding onto the leg with both hands. If you can do this with one hand, gently press downward so your knee is coming down towards the floor. It doesn't have to touch the floor, that would be pretty flexible, but just towards the floor so you can get this right inner leg stretch. Again, not too deep, although doing half happy baby pose really is a deeper pose compared to if we were doing this with both legs at the same time. A couple more breaths. We'll go ahead and release, extend the leg, just pause here in Shavasana so everything can come back to neutral. We'll do the other side, so hug the left knee in directly towards chest. Slightly at an angle out towards left shoulder. Flex left foot, kick it up into the air. From the inside of the leg, let's catch hold of the bottom of the foot with the left hand. Gently press down, knee moving towards the floor on the outside of the body. Again, keep this gentle. You don't have to press too hard because a lot is happening. You don't have to do too much. If you do need to lighten that load, basically, you can hold on to your ankle instead. A couple more breaths. Let's go ahead and release. Extend the leg onto the floor. Come back here for a brief Shavasana. We'll finish with one more pose. Let's bring both knees into chest. Let's twist. Take both knees over to the left side. Extend your right arm over to the right side. A few breaths here. This feels nice. And really also allowing your body to begin to relax. We've done our dynamic practice. Now we're coming to the final moments of our practice. Go ahead and bring the knees back up to center. You might pause, and then go ahead and take the knees over to the other side. Knees to the right, Left arm extends to the left. Some deep breaths. Just getting into the low back and hips a little bit. And then when you're ready, let's come back up to center. Hug the knees in gently. And now, Shavasana. Extend the legs out in front of you. Just rest your arms down by your side with your palms up. Make some adjustments with your body so you can settle in and feel completely relaxed here. You might even take a couple deep breaths so you can feel the body settle. Now we're really returning to a space that's similar to when we began the practice, where we're standing in stillness, focusing forward or downward, or even with our eyes closed, and being aware of the breath. So similar here, so lying down, completely relaxed, eyes can remain opened or closed, feeling and listening to the sound of the breath. Continue to feel this calming effect. Slow, steady, gentle breathing. Remain here as long as you like, especially if you feel very comfortable, well relaxed, and at ease. Just stay here. Even as I end the practice and come up to seated, you're welcome to stay just as you are. When you are ready to move, rather than moving too suddenly, start with breath. Be mindful of deep breathing, and you might take 5 deep breaths here. Here, the intention is to generate some energy in the body, and with that energy, beginning to add movement to your body. Maybe you wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Feel movement return to your hands and feet, and eventually through your entire body. And again, remain still in Shavasana a little longer if you desire. If you're finishing with me, move in slow motion. Carefully roll to one side of your body and gently press your way up until you've come to a seated position. Feel free to sit on something soft, like a pillow, a blanket. I'm just going to sit on my block and cross your legs. Sit up nice and tall, nice relaxed shoulders. Just hold here for a moment. Take a breath. Then one last movement together. Inhale, extend your arms into the sky. As you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Taking one more breath together. And as we come to the close of our practice, we bow together saying, Namaste.
Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.